Hey guys, how is it going today? So today is November 6th, and I just wanted to say, hello, it's me. I was wondering if you want to analyze some ETP. Let's go over my accuracy and test out my strategy. Hey guys, so alright, so let's analyze some ETP, okay? So let's first of all take a look at my accuracy first of all. We want to take a look at some other charts of mine, okay? We want to go back to my old chart right here just to see how close we have come so far. And I'm here in my ETP list, or my ETP one. I muted it here. Sorry if there's an echo if you guys hear it. I'm just going to try to find off where we left off. Oh, sorry, that's actually EOS. Okay guys, let's go over some ETP, okay? First of all, let's see where we left off on November 3rd, okay? This is my YouTube that I'm just maximizing, okay? So this is the YouTube that I predicted on 3 days ago about, and I made a prediction that it would fall somewhere between 305 and 264, okay? And that would have been a really good buy region. And then after it hit around this area, just based on all the RSIs that I predicted, it was going to make its way up to test this range right here, which was around the $2.90, or sorry, I think, I don't remember the price. I think it was like 350, 360. And then if it breaks that, I predicted it was going to go to over here, right? It's actually following the same path as a lot of charts right now, okay? If we look at charts like OMG Go, if we look at charts like, actually, yeah, I'll show you guys OMG Go. But first of all, I want to say this green box area was a really good buy zone for where I predicted a few days ago. Under 305 would have been a great buy zone. And where did we hit, guys? Surely enough here, we hit, around the 290, right? Under 305, that's for sure. And then we found solid support there that was also indicated by volume, which was quite amazing. But I want to go over OMG Go chart with you guys right here, just to show you some of the similarities. There we go, bitfinex, okay. Notice here, it's actually making its way up to the resistance point already. And there's always these green box areas out here, right? I predicted in OMG Go that it was making a falling wedge, and then eventually it was going to break out of it, which surely enough it did, right? Which was quite fantastic to see. Now this green box area, imagine if it was ETP. It would be the same as around the 290 range, the $3 range as ETP, right? And now it's making its way up here to test that resistance. Now, if we compare that to ETP, it has a very similar similarity index is what we call it, right? So right now it's just behind by a few days. So it actually did hit right around there, guys, $3 range, okay, huge support as I predicted. It was actually shifted a little bit to the right and it took longer than I expected. But how did I know it was going to hit there? Well, it was more like a guess and also based off of fib extensions, right? If we took our fib extension levels, for example, this one right here, fib extension, just from X to A to B, right? And we also predicted that these ones didn't really retrace that much. So these ones probably wouldn't retrace as much as well. And it retraced to around the 382 level instead. But we don't know if this one's actually done or not. And we're going to get into that through this analysis right now, okay? But to catch up all the viewers, we have a beautiful Elliott Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm just going to draw it out over here for you guys to see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well this one should be a little smaller, I guess, just to keep it similar. And then after we have these wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what always happens is we have an A, B, C correction, okay? We have some sort of A, B, C correction like that, right? But if that doesn't actually work out, then what ends up happening is it makes a WXY correction instead, okay? And then it makes a W, X, and then like a Y somewhere like that, okay? I'm gonna move it over to the right even more so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Makes a WXY. So here it made an A, B, C, and then because it couldn't break out of this specific point, it made a W, right? Sorry, it made a W and an X and basically a Y point right here. And then if it doesn't break out of that one, then what ends up happening is we basically get a quadruple combo right here. So we get a W, we get an X, we get a Y, right? we have another X, and then we have a Z all the way down here. So that's what a WXYZ pattern is. Do you guys see what I'm talking about? Okay, I'm going to show you one more time just so it's clear, okay? Makes a W here, and then an X up there, and then it makes a Y down here, another X, right? And then it makes a Z, just like that, okay? So every time it makes a WXY, and I'm going to go over it one more time just so it's really clear for you guys. If it doesn't break out to the upside when C ends right here, then it ends up doing something called a double correction, right? And in a double correction, it has a WXY, okay? Now then it tries to break out of the Y to start its new impulse wave upwards. But if that fails, then what ends up happening is it makes a triple Elliott combo wave where this is W, this is X, this is Y, that makes a W again, and then it makes a Y or a Z down there somewhere, okay? That makes sense? Okay. I review that every single time with my viewers because it's something that's not intuitive, right? It takes a lot of experience to learn and just learning and in general. So I want to make sure I reiterate these things a few times so people understand it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulse waves up. It tries to make the ABC correction here, right? Which we can see visibly. And then it tries to break out of it, but it just doesn't really break out of it at all. So then because it doesn't break out of it, we know that it's going to be a WXY. And now that we actually have a B up here and an X right there, we can just draw a line right here. So let's say that you guys couldn't actually see any of this over here, okay? I'm just gonna highlight that and I'm gonna make it like black or something, okay? Oh, okay, you guys definitely don't see that. Oh, okay, I thought it was actually gonna darken it entirely. But let's just pretend that you guys don't see this part right here, okay? Pretend that you don't see all the highlighted area. So what you would do is you would draw a trend line and just extend it like that over here, okay? Now if you extended it right there, if you guys notice when it made its W, X, and then Y here, it tries really hard to break out of it, but it meets this specific resistance point up here, right? And because it doesn't actually break it at all, well, we know that it starts our WXYZ, right? W here, and then X, and then Y right here, and then another X, and then we have our Z right down here. So that is how WXYZ triple Elliott combo waves work, okay? So we got a lot of resist or support here, okay? Just based on all the volume as well, we can see that it's absolutely trending a little bit right now. But what we want to look at first, okay, let's look at the R side. Let's make it a habit to look at the daily chart first. So the daily chart, what we're getting right here is basically an indecision candle right now, okay? We're getting an indecision. Actually, it's a pretty nasty candle that we see right now. It's a really nasty candle that we're seeing right now. And this one is about to form in, 5 hours. That's not a good candle, guys. Okay, last time we saw this kind of candle, we saw it right here, okay? Basically like a shooting star. And then we got a huge downtrend from 470 all the way to 370 right here. And the next time we saw this type of candle was right here, another shooting star, okay? And then we end up getting a huge downtrend, right? So here, this wave might not actually be complete yet. It might actually be, somewhere down over here even, okay? So what this implies, if we look very closely, is that the bulls attempted to push it all the way up here during this day today on November 6th, but then the bears successfully defended, they took profit or they shorted the market and they pushed it all the way back down to here. Now, if this ends up going a little bit lower to the negative side, okay, let's say today it closes below its open. So if it closes today below, what's the open, 297, it's going to look very, very bearish, guys, and we're going to get absolutely a shooting star. So let's go over and zoom in a little bit and micro-analyze this right now, okay? Let's look at this 4-hour chart, okay? We're getting a few ticks up in the last 4 hours, right? But we do notice it actually bearishly diverging from the histogram. And the histogram tells us that it's ticking downwards, right? If you guys don't know what the histogram does, is see these numbers right here on the side, right? If that was 0.5 and it's getting lower, it's basically telling us that it's ticking to the negative side every time. And what we can use this as an indicator is how strong it is, right? And when you see it level off right here, when you see it level off right there, what that usually means, actually I'll get into closer. When you see it level off and then uptick once, that usually means that it's on suit to do an uptrend. See, these ones right here, notice people use the crossover as a signal to buy, right? It is a wonderful, wonderful tool to use. Unfortunately, it is a lagging indicator because it takes the previous averages of the candles, right? Or of the histogram rather. So unfortunately, because of this, it's not the best signal to buy. So if you were to buy it right here, it's a little bit too late. So what I like to do is I like to look for divergence, right? A positive or a bullish divergence. And let's say I saw it flattening out right here once, I saw it twice, I saw it 3 times, right? Which is now 12 hours. The next one that's even higher, I'd probably go into a trade even before it crossed over. So, you know, if you compare it right here, go into one right here, just look here and look here at the same time. You see it leveling off right here, right? And this one was absolutely higher, so I would have went in on the trade. But if you went on the trade where it actually crossed over right there, a little bit too late, if you guys see what I mean. You're not going to get too much profit. So that's another way to analyze it as well. So let's take a look at this really closely. First of all, let's go look at some more time frames and look at the 2 hour, for example, and see what's going on with that guy right now. On the 2 hour one, it's definitely coming down a little bit. It looks like it wants to curve just like that, right? Okay, and the reason why it looks like it wants to curve like that is basically because of this candle right here. This candle right here is a really important candle, okay? What it signifies is that I'm gonna actually draw some resistances. Actually, this can be used as a resistance, the 55 moving average. So if you guys saw my candlestick tutorial, make sure you guys go over my candlestick tutorial video that I made. It's about 1.5 hours long, and it goes over how to read candlesticks, and it specifically goes over reversal types of candles to look out for, okay? So what this one right here indicates is that the bears have won by the end of the candle close. This is called an inverted hammer, right? The bulls decided to try to push it up here, but by the end of the candle close, on the 2 hour chart, the bears successfully defended and they pushed everything back all the way down to over here even, and the bulls took a little bit of control near the end, and then that's what happened right here. So excuse me there. So candlesticks really do tell a story, and because it tried to poke out of the resistance, what ended up happening was it was rejected really hard, guys. That's what the long wick tells us, okay? Whenever the long wick here attempts to break through a resistance, and you can always consider a 55 moving average a resistance, okay? I use 55. I don't use 100 because that's too long for me, because I'm I'm like 80% day trader, 90% swing trader, okay? And there's a lot that I hold long term as well, but we'll get into that another day. But this candle right here is so important for you guys to understand, okay? Now this one, some people would argue that you would have found support here, right? But because it's a hammer, it's basically the opposite of this candle. But the reason why I would not say it was actually a hammer is because there's lack of volume, okay? There's lack of volume, and it's more likely people just closing their short positions as well. And the people who are buying, they're really scared right now. And here we're getting less and less volume, right? So on the 2 hour one, it definitely looks like it's going to curve up here and then come back down this way. All right. And then let's say on the 1 hour chart, looks like it's bearishly diverging, right? But it might actually just level off a little bit and just come up in the next few hours. 45-minute chart. Well, actually, I forgot to go over the RSI. The RSI right here is going down like that. We're sort of finding support right here, okay? Looks like it's about to break out sometime very soon, doesn't it? Absolutely it does, because this is what we call, okay, I'm going to go over wedges with you guys really quickly as well, okay? Let's say you had a wedge like this, okay? Let's say you had a wedge like that, and then you also had a wedge like this one, like that right there, okay? So this one you would count like that. I'm going to show you right here. You would count, if that's rising like this, we count 1, we count 2, we count 3, we count 4, and then we count 5, and then it actually breaks out to the downside. And the way we gauge how far it will break down is by using this tool right here. It's called the price range tool, okay? and we just take a base range of the wedge, right? Basically take an average of the wedge in there, and then we bring it to where it breaks out, and that's where the target range will be, okay? Now for this one here is called a rising bearish wedge. And I'm gonna write that down for you guys, okay? Rising bearish wedge, okay? And this one is called a falling bullish wedge, okay? So always make note that if you guys see a wedge in this kind of shape, right? If you, hang on one second. All right, I'm back. So now what we're gonna do for this one here is we're gonna count the opposite way. 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, and then 5, this way right here. And then when we count this one here, we also take a base range right here. We take a base range right here. And then when it breaks out to the upside, right, the target is gonna be the same size as the base range right there. And this will actually break out right there. So, or not to there, sorry, to right around here. So that's how we call these. This one's a rising bearish wedge, this one's a falling bullish wedge. So if you guys ever see these types of patterns, make sure that you play them because they're actually really profitable over time. And now I am going to delete them because I don't want it to be a mess here. So let's take a look at this on, for example, lower time frame. So where are we at right now that we hit our target box, okay? Where we hit our target box was right around over here already, okay? Now, if we look at this specific structure on a 15-minute chart, that's been forming for, how long has it been forming for now? Date range, it's been forming for about 12 hours now. I do expect a breakout very, very soon because if we actually draw right here, like that, you know, I paused the video earlier because I wanted to read a really angry comment from someone on YouTube, okay? And I actually deleted it already. But the guy, first of all, commented in my channel. Just first of all, he was bragging about how he has like a PhD and he's like, you know, working on his in business and like in economic modeling and stuff like that. And he was making fun of me and calling me a bunch of names and stuff like that as well. And then he was just, you know, basically ranting and bragging about himself. Not ranting, but putting me down and just bragging about himself, right? And it just made me realize that intelligent people don't really do that, guys, okay? Really smart people who are educated, they tend to keep their opinions to themselves because they understand that a high-level intelligence, they don't always have to offer their opinion, okay? You guys know what I mean? Like, you know, you don't see really, really smart people put down people in any way whatsoever. So I just immediately removed them from my channel and I blocked them because I don't need some guy who's super negative that just wants to talk about himself in terms of being how successful he is and probably lying about it as well. I mean, a lot of my friends that I have are pretty successful, you know, and they're very humble guys, really down to earth guys. They don't go around in a public, you know, public place like YouTube or Reddit to talk about how smart they are to put down people. I'm not even offended in any way. I felt really bad for the guy, you know. It's like he's got some issues, which is not any of my problem, but you know, it's people don't do that. You guys know what I mean? Like they simply just don't do that. So it made me just chuckle to myself, and I don't deal with any of that stuff in my life. I remove all negativity, and I suggest you guys do that as well, okay? Make sure that you remove all negativity in your life because it's just not worth your emotional energy, okay guys? Anytime there's someone who wants to belittle you guys, anytime there's someone who wants to put you guys down, especially when it comes to trading, okay guys? Always have an open mind, okay? And I want you guys to know that one of the main reasons why I love to do these TA is so I can share ideas, right? And at the same time, it benefits me because it lets me exercise what I've learned by teaching. And also, I'm always looking for constructive criticism, right? I will absolutely take constructive criticism, and there's a proper way to give it, and there's a wrong way to give it. So, like, I always encourage positivity, okay? And as a trader, we have to make sure that we remain positive because our emotional well-being depends on it while trading, okay? We have a lot of things to worry about, guys, already while trading. tons of things to worry about, right? And we have to make sure that we balance our life and we have to stay positive in trading. Otherwise, it can be overwhelming. And once we let our emotions take over us when it comes to trading, trust me, we're going to make a lot of bad decisions. And I've been there. I spent a lot of time learning how to do what I'm doing, and I think that I owe it to everybody in the world to show people what I know as well. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's what I believe. But what's most important fundamentally is that I'm always willing to learn, no matter what, guys. If I'm wrong, I will never argue my point if there's such strong argument. But what I will never do is argue with someone who's just argumentative for the sake of being argumentative, right? It just doesn't make sense at all. So anyways, that's what I love about YouTube. We find really angry people everywhere. There's so many angry people in the world. I just wish they could be happy, you know? It's like, don't go online to shit on people. It's not worth their energy as well, right? Okay, so let's go over this pattern, guys, now that I got my little rant out. Ah! Okay, so clearly what we see here is the same pattern that I was drawing earlier, okay? And we're going to try to look for 5 points that's going to touch here. And I counted like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, guys. Okay, so I count 5 points right here. I'm just going based on the similarity of the wave, okay? This one here retraced a lot, so this one doesn't retrace as much if you've noticed. Just following general Elliott Wave rules, Elliott Wave rules will say that wave 4 does not retrace to the territory of wave 1, right? And that tends to follow it really well. And we can also, I'm sorry, I'm still laughing to myself right now. I'm still laughing to myself because I find that really funny. So I expect a bounce, you know, maybe later today in about 2-3 hours. Around say $2, maybe $3, $3.05 or so, and then we could get a breakout to the upside. See, we're down ticking already, and someone's just dumping right now. It's not, the volume's not that much right now, but it's still down ticking. So if we took the base range of right here, right there, for example, and then I added it to where the breakout could possibly be, say right here. So if you guys play this, you know, it's a pretty good play, I'd say. You can buy in at around 304, you can sell it around 320 or so. It's bound to break out because there's so much pressure in here, okay? There's so much pressure and it's being squeezed that it'll eventually break out to the upside. A falling wedge is one of the most reliable patterns that you can play, and a falling wedge will always break out temporarily to the upside, right? So make sure that you guys always do that. So let's look at, for example, on the 15-minute time frame for the day traders out there. What we see is this right here, don't we? We see it kind of leveling off right here, okay? Leveling off a little bit. This is probably going to squeeze down to over here a little bit and then eventually break out a little bit higher, right? The MACD does look like it eventually just wants to go upwards. The histogram is actually in the positive now, ticking up a little bit already, just tiny bit. The breakout could actually happen right here, and this could have been the 5th wave, right? This could have been the 5th wave maybe right here or so. So this could have very well been the 5th wave. We never know, but usually in this pattern, it's always going to break out. Now, what else can we analyze, guys? Whoops, sorry about this. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are aware of resistance points all the time. So here's 1, for example. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4, right? Here's 5 a little bit, it tested it. Well, it stalled almost right there. Here it got completely rejected. So how many do we count? We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Counted 6 right there. So is it logical to assume that it might actually test it right around here as well, and this is now a major resistance? Absolutely. And the next major resistance is from this line right here, which I will draw again for you guys. So we're going to test here, 1, 2, right, 3, right there, and we're just going to draw it down there. So we actually have some major resistance points right now. So let's say that we actually don't even get close to that line right here, and I'm just going to go hypothetically, okay? Whoops, 1 sec, I got to charge my phone. Okay, first of all, we want to see how much this is retracing right now. So let's take our Fibonacci extension and see if it's within respectable retracement right here. So this one, surely enough, is retracing all the way to 618, okay? So we can almost assume, we can just based on that right there, we can basically assume, I think, that this right here could be a double bottom. I mean, let's take a look at it here, case by case. Here we have A, here we have C, right? And where W started, double bottom. Would you guys agree? Here we have A, right? We have A and we have C as well here. This one created slightly something called a truncated C, another fancy word for a double bottom that didn't quite reach near it. So you guys see this here. So is it also safe to assume, guys, that this one right here, or sorry, A and C again created double bottom? Absolutely, we can assume that. That's actually a very logical assumption to me, okay? And we can also take a look at the Fibonacci level where it bounced off of the 618, okay? Now, if it bounced off of there, this could actually be a possible pattern as well, okay? I mean, right now, it looks like it's a wedge that will break out of it, right? But let's say we got rid of this right here, and let's say it ended up being something like that. Well, now what we actually have is a bull flag, which is pretty strong in my opinion, okay? I'm gonna draw a little rectangle here for you guys. Whoops, rotated rectangle there, that's the one. Okay, so notice this is basically a bull flag, right? And let's just hypothetically take some Fib extensions because we now know it retraced 618 only, which is actually a really good number. So let's say we took from here to here to here, okay? Now, what we always target is a 1-to-1 ratio. Let's draw our flagpole right here, okay? Let's draw our flagpole, and then we just take a flagpole distance that we can use as a simple target again, as of at least of something very similar, right? We get to about 718, right? But if we take our actual extension of 1-to-1, this could look something like this right here. If this is indeed C, and because it only retraced 618, right, this one could very well do this. So here's a general rule that I'm going to show you guys, okay, based on Elliott Wave rules in my book. I'm going to pause it, find it, then I will be right back in a sec. Okay, I found it right here. Okay, guys? So read the alternation guideline of if wave 2 is a sharp correction, wave 4 will usually be a sideways correction and vice versa. So what this means is, I'll read it one more time. If wave 2 is a sharp correction, wave 4 will usually be a sideways correction and vice versa. So I'm going to draw out a chart for you guys here. So for example, because this right here actually retraced to the 618 Fibonacci level, right? Because wave 2 down here, assuming this is wave 2, okay, and also assuming right here that this is where WXYZ pattern ended. I indicated that right here would have been a perfect buy zone under $3. So I hope some of you guys got into it, right? And I remember saying, if you guys do as well, saying that because we got a double bottom here for AC, pretty much a truncated C right there as well, then there's a good chance that it would end up here as well, right? And because there was a good chance to end up here, that's why I indicated my buy zone. But I was also taking the pessimistic approach of going down all the way to 250, just in case there's a little bit more strength. And I also haven't done an update in a few days, but you guys can kind of see the accuracy, right? So the time that I predicted that was actually over here when this one was just being drawn. I had no idea anything else going on here. If I had more data, I would have been able to definitely predict it well. But now I'm going to show you guys the wave count coming down. 1 right here, 2, okay? And then 3, right? And 4, and then 5. Did you guys notice right here that Elliott Wave rule that I just showed you guys said that if wave 2 corrects sharply, which it did, right, to between 0.5 and 618, then what that means is the wave 4 will do a sideways correction, okay? Does that make sense, guys? So if this one right here, for example, only corrected here, then this one would actually correct a lot more, okay? So the same theories always apply. And to me, this does look like the bottom, guys. It really does look like the bottom right here. And if we zoom out on a 2-hour time frame, for example, it does look like a double bottom, right? Like a W. We call this a W. you guys see this massive W that's forming? Right there, right? It's basically making a W shape, okay? It's hard to see in that color, isn't it? I'll draw in a different color, like, I don't know, like a pink color. Let's make a really thick line so you guys see it, okay? It's making a W just like that, right? And that is definitely a good sign that it's creating a double bottom. So then when we count the waves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and once again, because wave 2 ended up retracing really high, then wave 4 does not retrace nearly as much. So we're going to go into a 30-minute time frame. And what we see here once again is that the 618 level is where it retraced to, okay? So now what we will assume right here, just taking a 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension, we're going to assume that wave 3 is at least the same strength as the wave 1, okay? And we're also going to assume that this is the double bottom right here. We take Fibonacci extension right here, and we're going to move this guy to right here to target a 1-to-1 ratio, okay? And then after we do that, because this one retraced 618, we're now going to take new Fibonacci extensions. And because that one retraced 618, this one here will most likely retrace to say 382. So right about there. And we're going to assume that wave 5 is obviously smaller than wave 3. And then we take our Fibonacci extension right here. 1, 2, 3. This should be about 618. A little bit higher than that. Not bad, right? Not bad. It gets to about the 786 level. But if it does end up being about the same length or even a little bit longer, then we would call it an extended fifth wave. But this to me actually makes a lot of sense right here. It makes a lot of sense. So this one's kind of a cluster in here, right? But let's say this was the actual bottom right here, okay? It's hard to see, but if we counted our waves, right? It looks like it's basically a first wave up right here. And then coming down here is 1, 2, 3, actually an A, B, C, and it consolidates there a little bit, okay? And then once it does that, I think it's going to try to break out. And the reason why I think it's going to try to break out of here for pretty high is because we find this pattern right here so far. We find a wedge pattern, right? We absolutely see a wedge pattern that's forming here. But if it actually formed this pattern, great, just as good. Just as good right here if, for example, it hits up there, okay? If this ends up, I'm going to delete some of these just to make it nicer. If this becomes 1, 2, for example, 3, and this is 4 right there, and this is 5, that's just as good because actually it might not. Okay, I'm going to think about this 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. It's just going to retrace a little bit lower, but it's still going to break out regardless if it forms this flag consolidation, right? But even if it does only make this wedge shape right here, it's just as good in my opinion. Unless we get some confirmation that it retraces down to a really, really low amount here, okay? Then we have no choice but to assume otherwise at all. We have no choice but to assume otherwise that it's in an uptrend. And right now, look at it one more time, okay guys? We're finding support right here at the 618 level. The volume is slowly declining right now, so there is a chance, guys, don't get me wrong, there is a chance that we could move down to the $3 range right here. Absolutely, there's a chance, okay? But either way, I think it's going to break out. I really do think it's going to break out. Right here, I'm going to show you guys a rule book, okay? Let's see if we can find it. Wave 4 does not enter the territory of wave 1, okay? So we know one of those rules right there that we've talked about earlier. Moreover, over here, okay guys, motive waves, wave 2 never retraces more than 100% of wave 1, okay? And wave 4 never retraces more than 100% of wave 3. So it's absolutely possible, what they're saying is that the wave 2 can actually, if this was wave 1, wave 2 could go all the way down to over here again. And if that happens, guys, what will end up happening, what we'll end up getting is basically pretty much a triple bottom, okay? We're gonna get a triple bottom, right? Instead of getting this shape right here, where we get a W, like that, what shape we're going to end up getting is like this. Okay, so that's possible as well. Then we get it. That's how triple bottoms happen. Triple bottoms happen because it fails to break out and the wave 1 retraces all the way down here. So once again, this is a double bottom, right? Where it's like a double W shape, okay? It's a W shape like that. But if we get a triple bottom, it makes an A down here, it makes a B down there, it makes a C down here, and then it makes the first impulse wave up like that, okay? And then the wave 2 retraces to almost where wave 1 began. And that's how we get triple bottoms that occur. So when we think about it from an Elliott Wave perspective, absolutely there's a chance for it to go down to over here. But regardless, to me, this is going to be my buy zone, okay? I'm going to set my buy zone to right around here, right there. And the reason why I'm going to do this is because of two factors. One, I'm expecting a breakout either way out of this wedge up, okay? And I'm also going to assume support here at the 618 level. So I'm going to, just as an example, the way you would accumulate is you would buy, for example, 100 ETP coins here, just using a round number, okay? 100 ETP coins right there, and then if it goes a little bit lower, you'll buy 100 again, and then if it goes lower, you'll just accumulate 100 again. This way, you get an average of all of the coins that you get, right? This, rather than buying in one position, and then basically, if it goes against you, you're kind of out of luck, right? So what you want to do is accumulate slowly to get the best average price during a non-impulsive like wave up that's very, very strong. So what we can confirm from this once again, okay, just to remove some of all of this stuff over here to make it clean for you guys, we're going to go over it one more time again. This here clearly is getting a higher high right here, right? Some consolidation right here. Maybe it's like a leading first wave or something like that. Here, we're getting a wedge consolidation, right? We're getting a wedge or maybe even a flag. Some would argue and call this a flag right here, okay? Would you guys agree that some people would argue and call this a bull flag? 1, 2, 3, and then even this could be the fourth and the fifth area right here. 4 is up there, then 5 down here to get an ending fifth wave, right? So if we zoom in on the higher time frame, what do we see? It's kind of a mess right now. It's very hard to see. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, I'm going to draw this one out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically retraces to right where the territory of wave 1 is, right? Close. 4 right there. And then all of this right here is a fifth wave right here, okay? This is the fifth wave where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then it just breaks out. So we count in here, we count 1, 2, 3, and to the next high where it touches it 4, and then 5 right here, and then it breaks out. So there's actually a really good chance even right now that it's going to break out already. But some people would argue, just for the people who are very technical, I know that you guys are probably thinking to yourself that this could be, right, A, B, C, D, and E. So A, B, C, D, and E. So it could be like that as well, just to count. But either way, it looks very, 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 very close to a breakout right now. Would you guys agree? So even if this was a wedge like that, where on the higher time frame, it only shows as a wick, right? So look at this, guys. In the higher time frame, it only shows as a wick rather than a body. So it could look like a flag. But if we look at it on a 30-minute time frame, say we included the body like that, okay, and we just drew it a little bit better, something like that, it does look like a wedge as well. But either way, what we can 100% confirm is that this is the 618 level. Okay, now that you guys know that this is probably the start of wave 2, we take our Elliott Wave, just do it like that, just assume it's going to break out there, and it does something like this, right? And we take our Fibonacci extension and assume, and I know that I've said this before, but I want to make sure for the people that are watching the entire video that we actually make it educational as well, okay? So we assume a target ratio of 1 to 1, assume the same symmetry and angle, okay? Basically the same angle. We take Fibonacci extension, because this one retraced 618, this one will actually retrace a lot less. it'll retrace a lot less to say 382. And then guys, it's gonna make a really critical test right here. And these resistances, like I mentioned before, let's go over it to make sure you guys do remember, is formed from B, the first X, the second X as well, okay? The second X as well. And this is, I'm gonna make this line teal right here, right? So that's one main area. So let's say we didn't even know about this one yet, or we're not drawing it in. This is clearly a resistance already. And now another resistance, we look on the chart there, right? And we're just gonna draw one right around here because it has absolutely acted as a resistance here, 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 here. Here it was kind of almost hovering it depending on where we draw it, right? So if we drew it right here, for example, or right here, it can almost be slightly arbitrary. But what I like to do is take the most relevant point to right here, right up there. Now, another really important point is this one right here. It has to break this particular high. And have you guys noticed right here, when we take our trend-based Fibonacci extension, 1 and 2, and we target a ratio of 1 to 1, it also happens to make another high right around where this area is, okay? And I know that a lot of these are coincidences that I'm bringing up, but these coincidences that I'm bringing up can almost be trivial to some people. But to me, they're very, very important because it hits key points, right? And when you find enough of these coincidences, it's got to mean something, right? So I take, once again, okay, I'm just going to show you guys what I'm talking about here. So we don't know any of this, but what we do know is that we take Fibonacci extension from the lowest point to where this one is to right here. Wow, that's 1 to 1. We'll target a ratio of 1 to 1 for wave 3. And then we take our next highest resistance point, which is basically this one and this one, okay? Draw a line. It's actually a 1 to 1 target ratio, and it happens to also be a major resistance. So the first test, guys, that we're going to be making is right here. That's going to be a test because this one retraced to 618 only. We can assume that this one will retrace to only 382 level, right? And now that we have two major resistances, one from the B, X, and X, and this major horizontal one over here, we can assume as well that this is going to be a critical point, okay? I think what it's going to happen is it's going to not break this one because it happens to be the 1 to 1 target extension already. It'll retrace slightly to the 382, and then it's going to breach past it, and then this next target area is going to be where it could likely fall in between, right here. I don't think it's going to break it, to be quite honest, okay? I don't think it's going to break it. What I think it will do is it'll just have some wicks poking through it, and then it'll consolidate into this area, and this right here around the $350 range will be the breakout, okay? So let's look at some other time frames as well, like the 15-minute chart, okay? Do you guys see on the 15-minute chart, it actually looks like it's bullishly diverging now. This video has been made over about 2 hours where I've been recording here and there. So some candles have formed. So we have new data of that being bullishly diverging, okay? This one here is absolutely being squeezed, right? In a good way, I'd say. It's almost bullishly diverging, you can say. Like it's more of a symmetric triangle. Triangles can also be applied to our size as well. Did you guys know that? Let's look on the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, we've definitely bottomed out here and bottomed out here. We're finding support slightly, and over 30 minutes, it's slightly bullishly diverging. Now let's see if we can find any nasty candles right now, like on a 1-hour chart, for example. Here it's bounced once, it's bounced twice, right? Do we have any volume? This one right here, it actually looks like a small shooting star, or a doji basically, but it's got no confirmation whatsoever with volume. Nobody wants to sell anymore, guys. Nobody wants to sell. This one looks like the MACD, it might do something like this right here. Right? Goes up like that. If we actually just draw points right here, it doesn't look like it's gonna just come down, right? What it looks more like is like it's rounding off, okay? It looks like it's more rounding off, And the reason why it looks like it could be doing that is because it's gonna break out of this wedge really soon. See, it wasn't a downtrend, right? And we got 30 minutes left to close on this 2-hour candle, which is becoming, if you ever see this green candle here on a downtrend, a small, excuse me there, sorry about that, a small downtrend will imply that if you see a doji, then nobody wants to sell anymore, and it could be a reversal candle. If you see a doji during an uptrend, what that will mean is a likely reversal to the other side. Now let's look on a 4-hour chart, right? We're seeing even more consolidation. We're seeing inside candles form. Let me show you guys what an inside candle is, okay? This is an inside candle right here. Let's say you have a candle like that. They're forming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller inside. Because if it was originally an uptrend, which it was, and then it corrected, right? Nobody wants to sell anymore. It's consolidating, people are slowly accumulating, and then when it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, it breaks out to the original way that it was going. So let's look on the daily now as well. On the daily, sure, it looks like, let me break it down here. It looks like a green inverted hammer that I said at the beginning, right? But this inverted hammer is actually getting bigger and there's a lot of volume. So the bears have definitely been trying to push it down, but the bulls are still defending. So this candle here is not slightly as bearish as if it were to be red. So I stand corrected and a lot of information can come in, right? And now this actually looks like a really nice reversal candle called a Dragonfly Doji. Do you guys want to see what happens when you see a Dragonfly Doji, for example, on a Bitcoin chart? So let's see, you see a Dragonfly Doji on a daily chart, okay? Let's see. This one right here, for example, okay? This one right here, it was coming down, but we get a Dragonfly Doji. No wick poking on top of it, but the bulls, or sorry, the bears push it down, but the bears have successfully defended. I'm going to go back and say it again. The bears were pushing it down, but then the bulls successfully defended and pushed its way back up and up and up and up. And then you start its uptrend, right? And then now we kind of see this similar kind of candle forming as well on ETP. On not this one, but on the, I think it was a 2-hour chart. Yeah, on the 2-hour chart, right? And if it actually moves up and up and up, so let's say it closes the next 30 minutes around 311, 312, that's going to be a pretty powerful candle. And for the traders that are trading through candlestick analysis mainly, it's a really strong candle for them to get a good signal to buy. So even though there's no volume confirmation right now whatsoever, I'm just going to be really clear again about some specific targets, right? So right here, we are absolutely finding support here, and there's no arguing about it because of a few reasons. One is the Fibonacci extension, bouncing off of the 618. We got a lot of long wicks, right? We have a lot of long wicks to the downside, not as many to the upside. So what that means is the bears are trying to push it down, but the bulls are successfully defending, hence the long wicks. So we got that confirmation from the candles, right? And the bulls are constantly making attempts to push it through the 55 EMA, not as much as the bears are attempting to push it down, because the bulls are successfully defending it right now. On the 30-minute chart, even though this looks like an inverted hammer, there's really still not too much volume. So here I think is a really good buy zone. I'm gonna wait a little bit and just play out this wedge, okay? I'm gonna play out this wedge like that, and I'm just gonna see what kind of formations will form. I'm going to wait for this wedge right here, and then I'm going to wait for a breakout to the other side. But once again, if it wasn't a wedge, it could be a shape like this instead, and we're just drawing it inaccurately. It could be a bullish flag consolidation, okay? So this is a bullish flag consolidation. So if you guys are not familiar with what a flag is, let me show you. So a bullish flag will make a really large impulse up. Makes a really large impulse up like that, okay? And then because it made such a large wave up like that, it ends up correcting in this kind of pattern, like a flag, exactly what the name implies, okay? And then it makes a 5-wave correction like here, okay? Let me show you. It comes down once, comes down twice, comes down 3 times, 4 times, and on the 5th time, it ends up breaking up. And it might not even come down that low. It might actually just It might just go right here, for example, okay? Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. All right. So I do think that this is a pretty good buy zone if the support holds. And if it does hold and we break out of this very, very, very soon, the next target would be right around here at the 350 range, because it's a 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension ratio, and because it's also the most relevant resistant points there, okay? And if it doesn't break out of there and get a little bit higher, well, it reaches target already, and then it's gonna fall down to the 382 Fibonacci level. And why would it fall down to the Fibonacci 382 level? Because wave 2 retraced 618, and then wave 4 will retrace 382, and then it'll make its final attempt to break pretty much this area right here, this area right there. And then if it doesn't break it, which I honestly don't think it will, it's going to consolidate into this specific region right here. And then upon here, we will figure out, guys, we will figure out very, very, very quickly, okay? We will figure out very quickly if it's going to break out there or not. And don't forget the other scenario that I've mentioned. The other scenario I've mentioned is we fall down pretty far over here, because I mentioned that wave 2 could retrace to almost where wave 1 began, okay? And that's how we get our triple bottoms. So you guys need to be very aware of all the scenarios. This could be a buy zone. This could be a buy zone. That's why we never buy everything in one specific time, okay guys? We buy slowly. If we believe that this is going to break out right here, then we buy, and then if it falls down lower, then we buy a little bit more, and if it falls down even lower, we buy a little bit more. And this is just on the premise that there will be a breakout. And I hate to say it, guys, but there will be a breakout just very, very soon, you know? We're seeing it level off here already. In fact, we're seeing an uptick, right? Do you guys find support here with me? What do you guys think of this support right there? I think there's support, right? It's leveling off, it's not going lower. Not only is it not going lower, but it's actually upticking right here. Since the day before and today, it's actually upticked as well, right? So that looks really, really good to me. And we're also slightly finding support right here. If you guys look on the daily chart, I mean, this is a big indicator. The RSI is doing that right there. And the RSI is also wedging, if you guys notice, okay? Look at this right here. So not only can we apply a wedge to a lot of patterns, but we can also apply it to here as well. So we can count 1, 2, 3, and then basically 4, and maybe it'll even be a fifth one right here. Then it just breaks out. So that's a pretty good indication to me as well that the RSI is wedging, and we are also finding support right here. Take a look at this right here, guys, okay? Right? We're finding support on the RSI, and it just looks like it wants to break out eventually. So comparing it to the November 3rd, one that I did 3-4 days ago, I hope that a lot of you guys got into the buy zone that I suggested around under $3 basically, which it absolutely hit. And then this one here is the next region. Actually, this whole region accumulate very, very slowly. I'm no financial advisor. Don't ever forget that, okay guys? I'm no financial advisor. I'm basically speaking from the perspective of what I'm doing, and I play this coin. This is why I'm doing a technical analysis on it. I thought that I would also share what goes on in my mind. So this is going to be a good, really good buy zone all the way up to where this point ended to get a triple bottom if it happens, right? And then the next target, if it goes there, it could test this resistance, and then it's going to bounce down to the 618, or sorry, the 382 Fibonacci level. And then after that, it's going to test. If it breaks if it doesn't break it, it'll fall down to 382, and then it'll test this major resistance apex points right around there, okay? And then if it does not break that, which I don't think it will break 360, we could be looking at right here. And the time frame is basically, you know, this could be stretched out quite a bit actually. Let's make sure we stretch it out and give it more space, okay? So right here, just to give it the same type of angle, we could be looking at a possible test to here tomorrow in about 24 hours or so, or it's in 30 hours from when this video was posted. So tomorrow, my time, around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central Time. This one, it could be around November 8th, right? And this one here, we could be looking at about November 8th as well, later in the day, around 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. and then we're gonna get into this box over here, and then I do think that it could possibly break upwards because the RSI is definitely rounding off, and I think that we're gonna find some really good support. So other than that, I think we've covered every single possible scenario, right guys? Yeah, I think we have. I hope you guys have enjoyed this November 6th technical analysis of ETP. And just remember to take my advice, guys. In general, just always stay positive, right? We try to keep our lessons inexpensive. Lessons are always learned through mistakes. We don't nearly learn as much through winning, right guys? We win a lot more through losing. So make sure that we're always playing position sizes that we're comfortable to lose, okay? And constantly learn. Never feel bad when you lose, guys. You cannot win 100% of the time. And I can't even count anymore how much I've lost in my first 2 years of trading. I have probably lost what an average person makes in a year. Like at the beginning of my career there as a trader, when I was still a newbie and still learning a lot, right? I probably lost an entire year's worth of a salary, I'd say, just to get over the learning curve. And you know, I'm two years and a few months in it. I've been doing this full time now for about 7-8 months, and you know, I've been doing very well for myself, I have to say. But it's not because, you know, I don't think I'm smart or anything. I just think I'm a really hard worker, but I have the attitude that I would like to other people to adopt as well, which is to have a positive attitude when trading, okay? Don't be demoralized, guys. Every time you lose, be extremely grateful for that situation, because you will learn more than you know when you lose. And when you lose a trade and when you lose money, you know, don't feel bad about it, and always reflect on why you've lost and what you could have done better and how you could have analyzed. And also a big rule that I always give to people is don't try to predict too much. React. Reacting is a lot better than predicting, okay? And my chart is based on where we currently stand right now, guys, okay? Now, if people comment 24 hours later, of course the information is going to be changed, and of course I could be wrong, right? So these are just very, very loose predictions based on what you guys see right now. Let's say someone said something, you know, 24 hours later and he was like, it's really wrong. Well, if I made the video 12 hours from where this time is right now, I probably would be able to predict it a lot better because I'd have more information, right? I hope that makes sense. So if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe and follow me and blah, 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 blah. If you guys really enjoyed the video and want to support me and my dog as well, that you guys always hear in other videos, just, you know, send us a tip. I give her a little piggy bank. Believe it or not, I've got not a real piggy bank, but she has her own wallet on bitfinex and everything, right? Where I'll be doing some tutorials and small account trading there. And she's got her own little piggy bank there, and if you guys want to support her and I, you're welcome to send something as well. But of course you don't have to, because I don't care about that. I don't care about your guys' money. I'm not going to create any content at all where I'm going to charge you guys for, okay? Everything I do is because I owe for the community. So have yourselves a great day. I apologize for talking way too much, guys. I talk so much. I need to get out more. I need some friends. I think you guys are my only friends that I have. And my dog, of course, and my dog. So I love you guys. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I hope to see you guys later. And by the way, one more time, I forgot to say, I'm starting my video series for tutorials, right? I made a how to customize bitfinex tutorial. So if you guys don't know how to customize bitfinex, check that out. That's step 1. Step 2 is how to read candlesticks from my perspective. And it's about, I think, an hour and a half, hour long. And that's the second video tutorial. And the third one that I'm going to be working on is moving averages, because I would like to formulate a strategy for newer traders on how to trade with very basic strategies like candlestick formations and moving averages specifically. So I'm done, guys. I'm done. I swear I won't say another word. I'm leaving.